As the yacht on board was getting closer and closer to Charlie, Ruoli's face had begun to show the joy of revenge. She was born in one of the largest martial arts families in China, and she has undergone the country's top martial arts education since she was a child. She is definitely a master of masters. The strength is countless times stronger than those fancy large-scale goods outside. Therefore, she didn't pay attention to Charlie's strength at all. In her impression, he is just a guy who owes a lot, and is cheap and sinister. There may be a little skill and a little background, but it is absolutely impossible to be a top master. After all, what the masters pay attention to is fair competition. What is the ability to call the police behind their back? Therefore, she has determined at this time that she must be able to avenge her original revenge today. At this time, the captain reported, "Miss Sue, we are less than 800 meters away from the target ship." Ruoli wiped the sweat from her palms excitedly, and said, "Give me the telescope." Immediately, a sailor handed a high-powered telescope for navigation to her hand. Ruoli raised the binoculars and looked at it, and immediately saw Charlie standing on the deck alone, his face full of leisure and contentment. Because of the extremely high clarity of the telescope, Ruoli could almost completely see Charlie's expression. At this time, he carried a natural indifferent calmness on his face. If there was a smile at the corner of his mouth, he could always give the other party a feeling of being despised. Therefore, in Ruoli's view, his current appearance is simply a perfect portrayal of pretending to be so compelling. At this moment, Charlie's eyes seemed to look in Ruoli's direction, and the smile on the corners of his mouth grew a bit thicker. Ruoli felt an inexplicable nervousness at first, and thought to herself, "That kid's expression seems to have seen through me. Does he know that I want to come to him for revenge?" Thinking of this, she shook her head again and muttered softly to herself, "Impossible. Today he arrived at the pier first and got on the boat first. When I got to the pier, he was already on board, and I was riding his car as one-way glass. It is impossible for him to see me. This means that the situation tonight is the enemy's light and I am dark, so he can't detect me now. It seems that I think too much." As soon as she thought of this, she couldn't help but smile coldly, and gritted her teeth and said, "Boy. Auntie will make you unable to laugh later." Having said that, she sternly shouted, "Go ahead at full speed, okay." The boat Ruoli was sailing in was smaller than Charlie's, and the boat's speed was relatively faster, so after running full horsepower, the gap narrowed faster and faster. In the blink of an eye, the distance between the two sides was only 500 meters. With the help of a telescope, Ruoli could even see the sparse scum on Charlie's face. At this time, Charlie's smile was even stronger, and his eyes kept staring in Ruoli's direction. She was a little flustered at this moment. If the look in his eyes just now was an accident, then why is he still looking at me now? Thinking of this, she gritted her teeth and said to a few people around her with a stern face, "Everyone, get ready for battle." Yes, several people immediately responded, and then took out their weapons from their waists. Japan's gun control is very strict, so they use almost all the hidden weapons commonly used in martial arts. And the distance between ships is getting closer. Ruoli raised her hands, tied her long hair into a crisp high ponytail, and immediately said to a few people around, "The captain will hit the opponent's side first, and then slam the direction so that the boat is close to each other. When the boat will be attached to each other, the other people jumped up with me, grabbed the man on the deck for the first time, and killed all the rest." Several people looked terrified, and immediately said in unison, "Okay." When it comes to killing, Ruoli never relents. From the moment she was born, her mother had always instilled a belief in her. That is, her most important task in this life is to do her best to serve her biological father Zin and the entire Su family. This belief, over time, became her unwavering belief in life. She was brainwashed by her mother since she was a child, and she has been brainwashed for 21 years. Therefore, as long as it is beneficial to the Su family, even if it makes her an enemy of the whole world, she does not hesitate. If someone dared to be disadvantageous to the Su family, it would even touch her absolute negative scale. This is the fundamental reason why she will destroy the entire Matsumoto family. She and Charlie not only have personal grievances, but also family grudges. It was precisely because Charlie pitted her and more than 50 other Sioux family masters that the Sioux family's vitality was severely injured and suffered heavy losses. Therefore, she now not only wants to avenge herself, but also the Sioux family. At this time, the distance between the two ships was only less than 200 meters. Even without relying on the telescope, Ruoli could clearly see Charlie's facial features and the strange smile on his face. This smile makes her feel déjà vu now. When she and other Sioux masters were taken away by the Japanese self-defense force in a bus at Osaka Airport, Charlie, who was standing in the cockpit of a private jet, looked at her with such a smile on his face. At this moment, Ruoli realized that Charlie was indeed looking at her all the time. It was from the beginning, and it is still. She couldn't help being surprised. This guy, could he perceive that she was observing him? On this vast sea, and in the middle of the night, thousands of meters away, did he find her? In fact, she didn't know that Charlie had not only noticed that she was observing him, but had even noticed her identity. Just when Ruoli was shocked, the distance between the two ships was getting closer and closer. 100 meters, 50 meters, 30 meters. Ruoli's eyes were red and shouted at the captain, "Continue to accelerate." "Hit it," the captain shouted. "Miss Sioux, the engine thrust has been driven to its maximum," Ruoli shouted. "There are still the last 20 meters, everyone ready to charge." As soon as Ruoli left the voice, Charlie said loudly with a smile on his face, "Hey, the boat is also bought for money, hit a hairy hit. If it crashes, don't spend money to repair it." Ruoli was dumbfounded immediately, and blurted out, How can he hear me?" Ruoli at this time was in the cockpit. Across the windows and doors, coupled with the sound of wind and waves outside, even standing at the door, it is impossible to hear what the people inside are saying. What's more, this is still 20 meters away. The captain was also a little panicked, and subconsciously said, "Miss Sioux, the wind and waves outside are so big, and the distance is so far away, why can we hear his voice clearly?" Ruoli was even more surprised when she heard this. Secretly said in her heart, "Yes. He just spoke as if he was in her ears. How did he do this?" At this moment, the captain saw that she didn't respond, and couldn't help but blurt out, "Miss Sioux, what should I do now?" Ruoli didn't know what to do at once. The distance between the two ships is only about 10 meters. Charlie continued to smile at this time. "I urge you to think more about it. If two ships collide with each other and everyone is left on the vast sea, shouldn't you call the Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force for help?" With that, Charlie added, "But I am not afraid, but what about you? There is a serious prisoner on the ship who is at large. If she is caught by the Japanese Self-Defense Force, I am afraid she will be shot directly."